Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. Sunny. Let's start off with him for a minute because towards the end of this episode, pissed me off. This is coming from a fan of Sunny. I remember watching, GH way back. And Sunny, everyone kind of had their own unique ways and stuff like that, but Sunny just stood out. Hell, I even remember when I was sitting there watching Journal Hospital at one point, my friends came over, or one of my friends came over, and, even he noticed, and he was like, yo, who is that guy? This guy is interesting. So Sunny has been among my favorites. It's very tough between Sunny and Jason, but Sunny has been among my favorites for a very long time. And hearing him, say what he said today was just like, are you kidding me? And plus it's just a whole testament just to how little sense this whole Nixon Falls story really is. So, he's about to sit there and pretty much get it on with Nina. Gross. There's one point where I guess his watch get tangled up in her hair, and he takes off the watch, and Nina sees it and notices, the watch and, what it said. And she's like, yo, I can't do this. Now I'm sitting there looking at Nina like, I'm sorry, for a minute almost sounded like you somewhat grew a conscience. Which, in reality, I do stress on the somewhat conscience. You realize you couldn't go through with it on a biblical sense, but, you're not actually being honest with him either, so. But she pretty much says, like, listen, you need to sit there and find out about your past. There's people that probably loving you, missing you right now. And Sunny, in all his glory, came out of his mouth and said, you mean the people that didn't bother to search for me? Or like abandoned me or something like that. And when he said that, I was like, I'm sorry, what? Did you just say the people that didn't try to come and find you? Mind you, this man actually had Google, and instead of, trying to look for like missing persons or anything like that, you decide to Google other people. You quote unquote made a life for yourself in Nixon Falls, and you don't really care about, anything, your life before. Regardless of the fact that you had a wedding band on your finger, you didn't care about that. But you actually had the gall to come out your mouth and say, oh, you mean the people that didn't look for me? Are you kidding me? Mind you, this is coming from a person who actually likes Sunny. Granted, he's done things before that has been very questionable, or things that he's done that even I just kind of stood there and looked like, bro, are you kidding me? But I get it with these characters, they're not perfect, and I guess we all have our blind spots to certain characters that we like and we know other people don't like. It is what it is. Jocelyn makes some food for Jax. Jocelyn is still under the impression that Jax is upset about, like the whole tension at the dinner table is about the fact that, Carly and Jason are getting married, and that's why he was upset. And of course, Jax, like the good person that he is, just lies to her by mission. So they talk about it for a little bit, and she makes a sauce. They eat it, and she notices something about the sauce that it reminds us, like the taste reminds her of Sunny making it. And she, even she's like, yo, listen, if I didn't think he was dead, I would sit there and think that Sonny made it himself. She's all upset about it. And when Jax asks, like, where'd you get the sauce from? She says Trina got it at Nixon Falls. And that's when Jax sits there and it's like, remembers that before he went unconscious, he swore he saw Sonny. Question is, what is he gonna do about it? Like, if he finds out throughout whatever, he finds out that Sonny is alive and everything like that, is he actually gonna do the right thing? Or is he gonna do the selfish thing? Cover it up, help cover it up, whatever. And I'm betting on the side that he's gonna just, well, do something selfish, because I mean, at this point, he's just keeping up a trend of just being a jackass, so why not? Sasha and Brandon are sitting there talking about moving in, and Carly comes in. Carly wants to sit there and talk to Brandon alone. Now, before Sasha leaves to go use the restroom or whatever, Brandon's like, listen, I'm doing a couple of side gigs or whatever to, help pay for, like, down payment on the house or whatever. And Sasha's like, oh, okay, cool. So, what are your side gigs? And Brandon was like, side gigs? Okay. What are they? But before, he can sit there and say anything, that's when Carly comes in. Now, I'm sitting there thinking, right away, okay, talking about side gigs. Carly wants to see him out of nowhere. So she, I guess, pretends to use the restroom. While they're sitting there talking shop about, Brandon's sitting there trying to help out Carly as far as finding out what's going on with Cyrus and the takeover and everything like that. Sasha is just sitting there just listening and just peeking through, just listening on everything. So, apparently, I guess she heard enough. And she walks in there, and she's like, so what's going on? What are y'all two talking about? Now, at first, it looks like Carly is trying to stall for a minute. Like, oh, listen, there's nothing really that busy or that crazy or whatever. Before she could really say too much of anything. Classless Gladys stumbles on in. Now, of course, she was sitting there talking to yet another mobster, sitting there spilling the tea on Carly and the wedding and how, Carly married Jason right after, not even like minutes, after Sonny's supposed death or whatever. Like, she was just all over him, just being a quote-unquote gold digger. And of course, she talks about how she has no class, this, that, and third. I mean, I'm just sitting there looking at this whole situation like you didn't learn a damn thing. She's all upset talking about, oh, well, she didn't invite me to the wedding. Now, Vincent Novak is like, hey, you can be my +1. She's all happy. I'm like, I mean, maybe you're too drunk or too stupid to understand this, but if you're not invited and you're somebody's +1, that doesn't give you an invitation to actually come in. That's not how that works. But apparently she stumbles in all drunk and everything like that, touching on people and everything. Carly's sitting there looking at her like she has the plague, like, get your damn hands off me. And, Gladys is all like, oh, well, I know you didn't want me to go to your wedding, but I'm going anyway. And I'm like, wow, that's bold, but you're drunk, so. The sad thing is that even if she was sober, she would sit there and say something stupid like that. And she's like, yeah, I'm someone's +1. And she's all like, you never guess who it is. Try me. And that's when, I don't know, I'd actually tell you the truth, Carly was like Vincent Novak. And she was like, how did you guess? And, it's actually kind of a good question. How did she know? I guess she must actually have somebody looking in on the situation, but, classless Gladys just didn't learn a damn thing. You know what? Honestly, tell you the truth, I wouldn't. I would wonder what that's like to actually play a character that just comes on the scene and just annoys the living hell out of everyone. And I get that it's just like a job or whatever, and like she comes in and after the scene is over, they all laugh and have a good time. But it's like how do you just sit there and say, what my job is to do is to like come in these scenes and just be a raw pain in the ass to everyone? Like, how does that work? Scotty. I gotta sit there and say, these guys who hijacked the plane and kidnapped Ulbrich must be like the nicest hijackers / villains I've ever seen. I mean, yesterday they were all like, alright, what are we gonna do with him? Chuck him. Okay, I guess we're gonna be seeing more of Scotty. So, Finn and Liz are about to kiss, and they see something. They rush over. They see Scotty. Well, they see Parachute and that other kid that I can't remember. I guess the one that Peter helped out or whatever, motivated him or whatever. Anyway, I guess he's a Boy Scout now, and they take off like the parachute. Scotty. So let me get this straight. These villains are so nice that they were like, oh, by chuck him, you mean like, let him just, we'll give him a parachute. He'll fall nice and soft and he'll be fine. Because, we're villains. I mean, we mean business. I'm just sitting there looking like, listen, I know that Scott is a fan favorite. And I knew that they weren't going to sit there and just kill him off. I mean, you never know, but it was like a 90% chance I felt like they weren't. So, the villains decided to just give him a parachute. It was like, oh man, I hope he lands there safely. We're going to go and do evil stuff now. And all this stuff is evil. We got a streak. Like, just, it's a soap opera. This is one of those scenes that you just gotta go with it. So, he wakes up a little bit. Take him to the hospital. Now there's this awkward scene between Britt, Carly, and Jason. And after all that awkwardness is over, Britt is actually on a date. So I'm sitting there all like, oh, I guess she moved on. She moved on. And you can tell by this date that she pretty much had a fake emergency because this guy was talking about something. And she looked at the phone and was like, well, I'm a doctor, gotta go, bye. And then she gets a call from Jordan saying that Scott has been admitted and that, she needs to get down there. So she gets down there, talks to Scott, and Scott is pretty much just kind of out of it. He's like, 1 minute, we're sipping champagne on a private jet. Next minute, I wake up and I'm on the floor. So now she's worried, because she's like, yo, where is my mother at? When Finn and Liz get there, they talk to Jordan, and they all kind of conclude that, he wasn't just skydiving or anything like that. Like, he was forced off the plane, and now it's like Ulbrich could just be, well, anywhere. You got Cyrus that they're trying to get, what the hell is his name? I know his name is not Bolshetti. I think it is. I'm not too sure. But pretty much he's trying to get Bolshetti, or Bolshidu, or whatever the hell his name is, to, like, help, like, work with him. To take out Jason and Carly. And, somewhere along the lines, he's sitting there saying, well, like, Carly's bad for business, and she can go to the feds, and, she's a civilian, she's been a civilian for years, and yada, yada, yada. Now, the problem with that sentence, as far as him, her being a civilian for years, is that, yeah, she was a civilian for years. She was married to Sonny. For years. Okay? And not once did she actually try to go after anyone in the five families or try to betray Sonny as far as getting him sent to jail or anything like that. But for some odd reason, now that she's married to Jason, the rules changed. So that, I'm not gonna lie, that when he was sent there saying that didn't really track. But he's trying to get him, to join. And Cyrus was like, listen, I could sit there and set the whole thing up. He's like, oh, you can do that? Now this is where, I said from the start, when Cyrus first was introduced, I was like, the only way you're going to sit there and take out Cyrus is a bullet. And everyone kept saying, well, if we send him to jail, then, our problem is solved. Now this dude is literally sitting there making hits, to try to take out Laura and his brother and Jason and Carly. But Laura's whole plan was, no, we're going to do it the right way. We're going to send him to jail and dismantle his whole operation. You damn idiots. I mean, it's like, and everyone was saying the same thing. How even Brock TV was like, yo, sending him to jail is doing nothing. And this right there is proof that the only way to sit there and deal with him is to put a bullet in his head. But I think he's gotten, he's brung over Mr. B, whatever his name is. Honestly, to tell you the truth, I think the more they actually say his name, the more I'm actually going to get it right. But he seems like he's going to sit there and work for him. And, because I was just, at this point, just about revenge. I can't wait till they find some way to get Cyrus out of jail, because, man, it's going to be crazy. Honestly, to tell you the truth, when I first saw Cyrus, I was like, yes, this show is about to get interesting again. I think that's pretty much about it. I might have missed something, but I doubt it. I gotta sit there and say this episode is a lot better than yesterday's episode. So I feel like it's definitely going to start to get good again. I really hope it gets good again. By the way, side question. For anyone who's watching General Hospital for like a long time, does anyone remember that show called The Night Shift? And if you do remember it, did you like it? Kind of a random question, but I don't know. I was sitting thinking about today at work, and I was like, man, I remember that show. Like I remember, like the second season wasn't really that great, but I definitely liked the first season, and I just want to know what everyone else thinks. So anyway, with that being said, I think that's about it. I'm going to get ready to go. Thank you for watching. Be safe. I will see you in the next video.